So, what did you think about terrorism before the attacks, and did the attacks change your view on terrorism?
Well, being in the position I'm in with the, public safety service, public health agency, we've actually had terrorism training before 9/11. It wasn't probably as extensive as it has become, but there have been a lot of terrorist events that has happened in our homeland, but they were domestic terrorists. They weren't at the scale of this, but when we talk about, Timothy McVeigh and Oklahoma City bombing and things like that, so I've had a lot of education about how to recognize and deal with terrorist events, and some of it in the past. Has your average citizen had that same training? No, but the events of 9/11 educated everybody, the average citizen, now to be aware, to be more situationally aware. If you see something, say something, is very important. It's now everyone knows it, not just selected public service agencies.
Yep. And do you feel the same way about terrorism today?
I still treat terrorism as I did, 10 years ago. As I ride around the city in an ambulance, I'm ever vigilant to look at things that are unusual or out of place. And it's not that I profile, a Middle Eastern individual with, maybe ethnic dress. I don't look at him and say, oh, he's a terrorist, because I know that anybody can. That's not how you see them. There can be someone from the farmland who was angry at the government and decides to blow up a building. So what we look for is things out of place, people that don't, respond properly or are looking to hide something, so look for those things. And as we see them, we involve our partners, call them law enforcement and such.
And do you think that September 11th offers any lessons for the people in the United States?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Not only has, many new federal agencies been created, the Homeland Security, and different projects that way, but citizens are now being prepared to be prepared for all hazards, not just terrorism, but have those plans in place and be able to respond to any situation. But has that enhanced people's awareness of terrorism? Absolutely. I think everyone is more aware of terrorism and what the potential is.
And did you like how George Bush responded to the attacks?
Well, at the 10 years ago, I was probably a little bit, would have maybe liked a little quicker response. But understanding now what, hearing how he had to deal with issues of that day, I understand he was a little bit more controlled. So I don't object to the way, now, looking back on it, but, that 10 years ago, we were all pretty angry, we were all pretty hurt and challenged by the event. So I think, after George Bush's response is appropriate, I'm not going to look at everything he made a decision on. I think in the big picture, ethically, morally, it was the right decision to take his steps.
Okay.
So.
And do you think that we provide an example for the rest of the world on how to protect against terrorism and how to react to it?
I think we're just one example of how to respond to terrorism and, how to